The European elections are back, and for most of us, it's our first one, because the last time we had them, it was 2009. Just to remind you exactly how long ago that was, Barack Obama had just taken up his presidency, a fad called Twitter was just getting big, and we all thought we were going to die of swine flu. 2009 in Oxford, turnout was a paltry 35.5%, so what's all the fuss? Turnout has been falling ever since the first Euro election in 1979. In fact, we never seemed crazy for it to start with. In Cherwell's 1979 editorial, we said we thought it had few real powers and is unlikely to make much headway against the entrenched bureaucracy and national interests, and that the whole thing smacked of administrative expediency and not of a genuine attempt to extend democracy. There's also mention of a party here called the United Anti-Common Marketeers, to regain British self-rule. The man running is an ex-military officer who is a firm opponent of the EEC, advocating a strengthened and independent Britain. The UACM also blamed the EEC for most of our current troubles, and want a Britain that's free from the dictates of the commissars in Brussels. Now, where have I heard that before? 35 years on, is anything new? Cherwell took an unscientific poll.
When you think of the EU, what do you think of?
Corruption.
United.
Federalism.
Interaction.
Submission.
Economy.
Germany.
Germany.
Flags.
Flag.
Big government.
Politics. The Euro.
Bureaucracy.
Brussels.
Bureaucracy.
Nigel Farage.
What do you think of when you think of UKIP?
Death.
European Union.
Intolerance.
Clowns. Nazi.
Fascist.
Idiocy. Hate.
Purple.
British independence.
Stupid.
Trash. Racist loonies. European Union.
Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage.
I'm seeing a pattern here. And if I put the question to you right here, right now, if you had to stay in or stay out of the EU, or leave the EU, what would your answer be?
Oh, stay in, honestly. Like, a lot of the rights that we've had for LGBT people have come from Europe.
Stupid, trash, idiocy, hate, racist. You have an image problem, don't you? Because young people, as they say, are the future, but it looks like young people and the British future don't seem to like you very much.
Well, there's always a challenge with any political party to legitimately connect with young people. There's an enormous amount of time and resources being spent on trying to find anybody who's even remotely linked to UKIP, finding something distasteful, abhorrent or controversial that they've said, and turning it into national news. These sort of people do not represent my views, and they don't represent the views of the party.
A lot of students will have a bitter taste in their mouth after your party, the Liberal Democrats, went into coalition with the Conservatives at Westminster, and then of course you reneged on your promise not to raise tuition fees. Also, Euroscepticism is on the rise. You're going to get a drubbing at 2014, aren't you?
No, I don't think so. Yes, we had to make changes to our pledges, because when we got into Parliament, into government with the Conservatives as a coalition, we found that there was no money left. You can't have free tuition fees if there is no money. Young people are very well aware of what Europe brings to them personally, the right to travel, the right to work, and that engagement through Erasmus and other schemes. For young people, if they want their voice to be heard and to stop us sleepwalking out of the European Union, this time they really need to be voting for a party that wants to stay in.
Many young people probably don't know who their local MEP is, they don't know who you are, and they don't know what you do in Brussels. And you've returned the favour on a previous occasion. You've called young people spotty students who yell fascist at Conservatives like you. You don't much care about what they think, do you?
Obviously, that is not all or most students. Somebody who begins a conversation by shouting fascist has put himself beyond argument. He's not interested in an exchange of views. Look, if the European Commission is just one of many quangos, but it's an especially severe problem in the European elections, because almost nobody feels European. I want an engaged, internationalist, global Britain trading with Europe but governing itself. And that means being able to decide our own affairs.
UKIP have been the protest story of this election, so where does that leave the Green Party?
Well, it leaves the Green Party concentrating on the real issues rather than fantasy issues like UKIP are. And if you look and see what Labour's doing, they're not on the left. They're the party that wants to get back into power. We are the party that wants to build a sustainable future around a positive vision for Europe.
Oxford PPE, ex-ALSU president, a life in the ivory tower doing policy research. Aren't you just another one of those candidates?
Well, I'm not sure about a life in the ivory tower. I mean, I work in higher education, certainly, as many people do in Oxford. And I happen to think that higher education is a pretty important part of our economy, and it's very, very important for Britain as a whole. It's one of our biggest exports. I would certainly say that this is the most important European election that we've had for a very long time. I'm sure students will have noticed that we've seen an increase, sometimes in xenophobic language, unfortunately, around these EU elections. There's a big choice for them whether they want a change in Europe so that it actually delivers for young people, or whether we have more of the same, more austerity, more unemployment. And that's why people really need to vote, whichever party, frankly, they vote for.
This year's Talk of the Town, rightly or wrongly, has been about UKIP. UKIP on the beaches, UKIP on the landing grounds, UKIP on the billboards in Cowley. But the question most students are thinking is, are they here to stay? It's one that's far bigger and wider than the walls of Oxford. It's a heated debate in an otherwise lukewarm set of elections, but the takeaway message is clear. Not everyone wants to wade into the debate, but everyone has a vote on it. If you feel one way or the other, the polling stations will hear you out. This is Fan for Cherwell Online.